Welcome to Aotearoa, New Zealand. The Māori language is kia ora. That's the word translating to the word life, or to live. Kia ora is to have life, or to be alive. We said that greeting to all of you here this afternoon. Aotearoa, New Zealand, two names. One a Māori name, in fact it's three words meaning long white cloud, Aotearoa. And that name is associated with the voyages of Kupe and Ngāhue, according to our oral histories, traveled from Tahiti in the 10th century into the Southern Ocean, sighting cloud formations on the horizon. A signpost of land gave rise to the name Aotearoa, or the land of the long white cloud. That's where that name comes from. The other name, New Zealand, is a coastal province in the country of the Netherlands called Zeeland. The Dutch were the first Europeans to our part of the world. As such, they put it on the maps as New Zealand. The Dutch language eventually becoming anglicized to what we have today as New Zealand. What you've just experienced is part of the informal protocol that is associated with our role as your host and welcoming you here this afternoon. The first voice that you will always hear on any marae, which is this cultural setting, is the female voice. That voice, the call of welcome, is not only extended to those here present, but the memory that we carry with us of those past. So they're welcome to everybody. You heard a speech of welcome. You were greeted and welcomed in speech. And part of that speech, we say to all those who have joined us from the past, who are no longer with us, to return to where they belong, instead of being with us at the hotel tonight. Right? Yeah. So, protocol as such is maintained and practiced throughout the country. Along with the traditional chant that you just heard, a style of music we call moketea, used to embellish the words of welcome. Now, we don't know any different, but 4 generations ago, and through the period of the 19th century, these practices were abolished by law. And as such, in some tribal areas, completely lost. Many of our people then, in their tribal or family lives, didn't have much knowledge and understanding of some of the traditional practices, cultural practices of the past, and have had to learn them. There have been periods of resurgence, including music. And around the turn of the 20th century, we began to borrow popular tunes of the day, adding our own lyrics in the Māori language, fostering the language, and putting actions to the words to tell the story. With the strumming sounds of the rakaraka of the guitar, we share with you now, Laie the Harima, the action song.
Oh
That's Maori music. So now you experience the contrasting sound of traditional and more contemporary music. In cultural settings like this throughout the country, of which there are well over 800, the marae is a focal point of community life, tradition and custom, where those things are normal practice here in these cities. This building and the one next door were actually both handcrafted, and all of the carved figures that you see surrounding you, the painted rafters as well as the woven or panels were crafted in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and shipped to Hawaii and assembled right here on site in 1963 with the opening of the Cultural Centre. So if you were to travel to Aotearoa and visit 800 places like this, you see the exact same thing. Different names of the buildings after different ancestors, there's all different tribal groups. 40 major tribes, over 40 major tribes, and well over 200 sub-tribes throughout the country. So we've got lots of different connections to those intermarriages in the past. No different than yourselves. Okay? We just build buildings like this and put in all that information inside it. And then we foster that information, speak about it, sing about it, and share. Okay? Now, the buildings personify the ancestor. For example, above you on the ridgepole, you'll notice the spine of the backbone of the ancestor Hawaii Rod, the main lines of genealogy off the spine. In both directions, the painted rafters represent the diverging family lines that extend through the generations down to the present day. These are the ribs of the ancestor, so the backbone of the rib cage. You have a family tree, we have a rib cage. Serves the same purpose. Now, in telling stories, in addition to all of these, along with our chanting and our contemporary music, we have an implement that tells its own story, which we call poi. Poi in the Maori language is defined as a light ball attached to a cord. In other parts of Polynesia, you will find today, poi is generally associated with something to eat, food, okay? And they make different foods from, they make poi from different foods. Right? Now, here there are 5 skill sets. I'm going to invite our Laie to share with you each of those in this next section of songs. We present Poi Mai. If we teach you well enough and you're really good, we can hold an audition for you immediately. Now, we spoke about the rafters and the rib cage of the ancestor. The ribs extend down to both side walls, in front of you and back of you, to the carved figures. All of the carvings, if you have a close look, have eyes inlaid with parallel abalone shut. Each carved figure is a stylized representation of some of the more notable descendants of the common ancestor who the building is named after. These are our great heroes and leaders of the past. Their names continue to be spoken of, sung about, even their children, grandchildren, generations are named after them as well. So we'd like to introduce one of those ancestors to you this time and invite a descendant of that ancestor to introduce her ancestor.
Peri ko taki tuku te waka, ko mawa te manga, ko matere me te iwi, ko mai te marawa te hapu, ko irene ahau. That was a short introduction about who I am. So I mentioned my canoe, my mountain, my tribe, my sub-tribe, and of course my name. Generally in our culture, that's how we introduce ourselves to one another. So if I was to meet someone else from New Zealand, that would be my introduction to them, or my hello to them. So if you can just draw your attention just to the back there. That right there in calf form is my ancestor, Tamatea Arikinui. Can everyone say Tamatea Arikinui? Very good. Tamatea Arikinui was the captain of my waka, or my canoe, the Takitumu waka. I descend through him through his grandson, Tamatea Pōkai Whenua. Can everyone say Tamatea Pōkai Whenua? Very close. So between me and Tamatea Pōkai Whenua, there are about 13 generations, but someone I'd like to introduce is a man by the name of Maharai Winiapa. He was the first person in my tribe to pursue a higher education, his bachelor's degree. Not only that, he was actually the first Maori in New Zealand to pursue a doctorate degree overseas in Edinburgh, Scotland. So I'm very proud to say I'm actually the first member of my family, and that's including my extended family, to pursue a bachelor's degree right next door at Laie Boy. Kia ora.
What's important here, ladies and gentlemen, is that we all have our stories to tell. As we tell those stories, as we tell the stories of the past, we get a clear understanding of who we are, where we come from, maybe a better look at where we're heading on into the future. And that's the importance of a whare tukuna in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and here abroad in Laie. We'd like to let you know that there's a number of games, not only throughout the cultural centre, but right here. We've got actually 3 cultural activities. We're going to share with you another one right now. We call it Titi Tore. Now, traditional games in Aotearoa were really about fun. They were played from early childhood all the way through to adolescence. But the fun was also balanced with preparation. The skills that were taught in these games would be a way of developing and preparing young people to be able to defend themselves in hand-to-hand combat. So these were really military games. Can you imagine little kids playing military games? Well, this is an example of one of those military games. We call it Titi Tore. The game is played by simply taking a short stick and throwing it at someone else. That's about the game. Right now, if you're somebody else in this game, it's important for you to know one thing. Catch the stick before it hits you in the face. So let's see how the team does for you. The game, Titi Tore. What? Well, let's think about this. You travel a long way, paid a lot of money to sit on these hard benches in our air-conditioned building. So I think we should try our very best. We should present the very best Titi Toria stick game for you right now. What do you think? Satisfied with good, we're going to move on to better than even best. So let's have a go. Here we go. That makes Now for the real test of skill. Are they ready? So far, so good. Victoria. All right, you're more than welcome to join us in this activity as well. We'll hand you a couple of sticks, and you can choose who you would like to throw them at. Who you might have someone in mind as we speak. Our program began with the protocols, underlying the protocol of welcoming visitors from the four winds into this building amongst us as the Tangata host of this marae. It's really about unity, the strength of unity that can take place anywhere around the world. People come together to learn from and about one another, to establish and strengthen relationships. That's the purpose of the protocol. Hopefully we will accomplish that there at the Polynesian that you'll visit this afternoon will do the same. This building is a symbol of tribal and sub-tribal unity. We all descend from Hawaii Kimo and his wife Laie. They lived 2,000 years ago. Not a lot of descendants over 2,000 years, but we're all connected as whānau family. The voice of the warrior was raised in times of war, preparation to defend and protect. That call we refer to as haka, often seen in battle and warfare, the preparation for warfare. It was an ongoing part of military training. From very young all the way through to older age, haka was well used. In times of peace, haka had different purpose. Then and now is a unique way of acknowledging important people and occasions, celebrating the events of our lives of the greatest significance from birth to death. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the voice that you're about to hear now. As we raise that voice, we call haka. Bring up!